Y'all ever notice that when YouTubers speak about becoming a man, they go straight to talking about having a job, getting your own car, and paying your own bills? That shit basic like Sexy Red Ghostwriter. That's the talk of an obedient economic slave with limited life experiences, you heard me? And I promise you, this ain't one of them man up speeches about pushing through, being strong, and moving out your mama house. This is a brutal breakdown on how being out of touch with your voids prevents you from becoming a real man, a respected man, a free man with a life of purpose and a legacy no can take from you, heard me? When I didn't know better, I let these trick me into thinking chasing the bag would make me a man and solve all my problems. Instead, that shit set me up for a life of silent suffering because I quickly learned there wasn't nothing fulfilling about working just to pay bills, you heard me? I got to wondering, what was the point of my whole life? What is my purpose on this planet? And eventually I just stopped giving a f. I was just out there drifting, watching porn on Reddit, playing video games, drinking, smoking, chasing pussy, punching in, punching out, and growing more insecure as my social life took a nosedive. I went from dating women I met at the cookout to smashing women I met online to getting high with women I met behind a dumpster. Took a good minute, but I finally figured out that buying things and paying my bills would never fill my deepest voids. Now you might be thinking, what voids, nigga? You finna get a silver play button. And that's most of y'all's problem. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. If you cannot identify the root of your voids, you cannot mature into manhood, and you're probably a man-child. So what is manhood? Manhood is when your self-awareness leads you to living an unwavering life of purpose. That life of purpose becomes your higher calling. If you're wondering where I'm at, man, I'm up there in age, so I try to get my steps in every day because they help my bowel movement. Now let's talk about what manhood is not. Smashing a bunch of bitches, bullying folks, men, women, or swimming, short-term thinking, neglecting your offspring, having no plan. In fact, a lot of the things on that list is what happens in the seasons of being a boy. Y'all want to know what real men doing right now? They actively working on the change they wish to see in the world, even if that means skipping a couple meals and not getting home until after midnight. Sounds simple enough, but why so few doing it? Because they come from a generation of motherfuckers who don't know the root of their voids. Whoa. Slow down, TJ. What the f is a void? A void is the feeling of being lost, disconnected, discouraged, and confused about your life. And even still, you experience anger, loneliness, and frustration. You might want to do better, but you have no direction, no drive to become who you think you want to be. That's your void, and a man's job is to know the root of his void. I know I'm spitting game, but go ahead and click out because you can't get over my big T. So how can you be certain for sure that you have a void, and how do you get to the root of it? If you have people-pleasing tendencies, difficulty expressing your emotions, if you withdraw or isolate from social settings, do you self-sabotage? Do you often feel rejected? Do you frequently experience self-doubt, or what they call imposter syndrome? I'm sorry to tell you, but that all stems from our deepest void. Hey man, pulling punches. This is a bunch of grown-ass children having children repeating cycles they ain't even aware of. That's because these people never matured into adults. They never matured into manhood because they was oblivious to their voids. And where do voids come from? In 99% of cases, your voids were formed in your early childhood, sometimes further back than you can remember. I'm one of them dudes with a messy upbringing. My parents shouldn't have had no kids, and them ain't my words. My mama say that to this day. So you know what being my sister childhood was like. Only thing sober in our house was the noodles, and ain't nobody know how to cook them. So most of the time, me and my sister starved, you heard me? That type of neglect chipped away at my self-image and made me resentful as I so badly wanted to prove that I was worth everything that my parents never gave me, just trying to convince myself that I was worthy of unconditional love. But it was too late. The programming had already baked in like indica edibles. Deep down inside, I believed I wasn't enough. No matter how confident I pretended to be, my internal voice spoke to me just like my mama did. And my confidence abandoned me same way my daddy did. That's where my void stemmed from. But coming to terms with these facts is how I became a man. One of the advantages of being a 55-year-old YouTuber is I have experiences. I didn't just come out of college with some ideas. No, I came out the gutter with an identity, you heard me? In just about every private coaching session I do, it's surprising how many millennial and Gen X men are oblivious to their emotional void. They have no understanding of how their family dysfunction set them up for a life of failure. It don't matter how rich or poor they is, these is usually the most unfulfilled, unhappy with the most drama in their life. But here go the 8 steps I use to help these grown children grow into grown men. 1, I help them discover the most toxic and painful experiences of their childhood. 2, I help them understand the emotional limitations of their parents. 3, I help them understand that the anger and sadness they often feel stems from the injustices they survived through childhood. 4, I help them accept and forgive their parents for their emotional shortcomings. 5, I show them how the dysfunction of their childhood results in emotional triggers in their adult lives, f***ing up their potential in love and life. 6, I teach them how to identify their triggers before they get to acting like niggas. 7, I guide them on the path of mastering their void so they can use this deeper understanding constructively to nurture themselves in ways they wasn't nurtured as children. And by the time we get to number 8, it's a fucking no-brainer. While I go drop off these kids, let me say this. If you want to help keep the Tijuana Jackson channel authentic and savage, just go to dropoffthesekids.com. That's dropoffthesekids.com to see all the ways you can support the Tijuana Jackson channel. Hell, I even got a Patreon page. And now would be a good time to hit the like button. Sorry for the interruption, number 8. I simply ask them, now that you have a deeper understanding of how your family dysfunction and upbringing affected you emotionally, causing you to repeat toxic cycles throughout your life, how would you feel about helping young men from similar backgrounds avoid making the same mistakes? And the answer is almost always the same. Damn, TJ, I think I just found my life purpose. And that's how you build legacy, you heard me? That's where your drive and your confidence and belief in yourself stems from. It's getting these voids out of the way. And it's not like you're gonna hit some destination and then these voids are suddenly gone. Nah, dog, they with you for life. But now you get to manage your voids instead of letting your voids manage you. You heard me? Right after I get my steps in, I usually have to go and I ain't want to stop the live stream, you heard me? But it's a lot of angry, lonely gurus out there trying to mentor folks, but they are not on the path of mastering their void. And when you are unable to master your voids, you lack self-control, and as a result, you try to control everybody else. There's a great quote from the book E-Myth, and the quote was, people try to change the world so they don't have to change themselves. That shit hit different. That's why you see a lot of gurus out there trying to get you to think like them, to enable their flawed thinking. Nothing I'm talking about is theory. My passion and my compassion stem from 55 years of my own mistakes and my own victories. If you're ready to get on that path, go to donebeingabitch.com and take my value assessment test. It's 50 questions that will change your life. But if you're really trying to get a grasp of this manhood shit, this the video you need to hop on right here.
Subscribe to my dad's channel. Bars!